taught us to deal with these situations and what the prophet did in the time of the Medinan society. These are the lessons that will really benefit you in this time on the earth today. Look at this beautiful verse in Surah An-Nisa, verses 97 to 99. When angels take the souls of those who die and sin against their souls, they say, "In what plight were you?" They reply, "Weak and depressed were we in the earth." "Oh, Donald Trump is beating up the Muslims. Oh, things are so bad. I'm afraid to go out." That's my plight. They say, "Was not the depressed were we in earth?" Weak and depressed were we in the earth. Sorry, they say, "Was not the earth of Allah spacious enough for you to move yourselves away from evil?" One of the ways that we move ourselves away from evil is we have a potluck every week, but we show up. We don't say we're going to show up and not show up. We show up and we fellowship. And we show up on time because we can't wait to get there and have the comfort of being with believers. Because it feels so good. Because at that event, nobody's going to say that we're terrorists. At that event, nobody's going to say we all need to be shipped out of here. The angels say, "Was not the earth of Allah spacious enough for you to move yourselves away from evil?" Such men and women will find their abode in hell with an evil refuge, except those who are really weak and oppressed men, children, women who have no means in their power, nor a guidepost to direct their way. Well, maybe I'm not a guidepost, but my intention is to try to guide you to what the prophet did and what Allah said about this period of time, and this period of time is very similar, to you see it, to what we're in today. That Allah will forgive, for Allah does blot out sins and forgive again and again. Allah forgives those that have excuses, those that are not well, those that just cannot make it. But Allah is the all-knower. Sometimes we say we can't make it, but then we can do all kinds of other things. We can go to the Millennium Mall and we can shop for hours, but we can't make it to do something for Allah. We have to be real, folks. We cannot be in darkness. Living among the disbelievers is objectionable. It forces us to support their cause. It also involves forcing the Muslims to take part in their wars against other Muslims, and as has happened in the Battle of Badr. It can also involve the Muslims being exposed to persecution, which will keep them away from their religion. That when Muslims do not establish community, they cannot benefit and they cannot promote Muslim interest, and therefore they do not have strength. There is strength in numbers. And when you come together for the sake of Allah, you have come together for the very best reason in the world. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Whoever is in accord with a non-Muslim and lives with him is like him. If you spend the majority of your time with non-believers, then you will become like them. You will be like the people around you." My mom used to say it best. She used to say, if you hang up with the dogs, then you will get up with fleas. Some of the Muslims delayed immigration from Mecca because they were under pressure from their wives and children. When they did migrate later on, they saw that those who had migrated before them had learned more about the religion, and they wanted to blame and punish their wives and children. This was the reason for the revelation of the verse in Surah Al-Taghabun 64 and 14. From the aforementioned sources, it becomes clear that the hijrah was compulsory for every Muslim at the beginning of Islam until the Battle of the Ditch in 5 years after the hijrah. There's a principle here. I want to lovingly encourage you today to migrate. and to write what that means for you. Get a journal and begin to say, what does it mean for me to migrate for the cause of Islam? Have I truly migrated, or have I simply made a lip service confession to Islam and I really believe in it, but I'm not ready to commit? I got a commitment issue. It took 5 years for those who migrated to be able to defend and protect themselves against their enemies. I don't even know if Islam has been going on for 9 years, how much protection we're offering to believers. If you don't avail yourself to the group, if you don't show up to the potluck, how can you be protected? How can we protect you if you're not there? The strategy of the Islamic State had changed from defense to action. The Prophet expressed this when he said, now we will invade them and they will never invade us again. We want to have enough action that we present a strong front, that when people look at us they say, that is Islam. That is a manifestation of Islam in practice. That is a realization and manifestation of the practice of Islam. If those who immigrated had not been willing to be in an action mode, how, with their increasing population, would they have obtained food and housing? Think about it. They moved to a new land, a new climate, a new territory. If they had not joined forces, how would they have eaten? How would they have acquired the things that they needed? After 5 years, the messenger sent some of the Muhajirun back to their homes to initiate dawah and spread Islam outside of Mecca. It was our dream when we started this organization that we would actually train people to go out and be da'is, to invite people to the true and peaceful message of Islam. This was not the official end of the Hijrah. The declaration and the end of Hijrah came after the liberation of Mecca, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, there is no Hijrah from Mecca to Medina after the conquest of Mecca, but jihad and intentions remain. So in other words, the struggle in the cause of Allah remains, and the intentions remain. And if you are called by the Muslim ruler, well, the Muslim ruler in this case is Muhammad, who said that you were born to serve Allah and you were born to call every single person to Islam. And the authentic hadith says that on the day of judgment, the neighbors that you don't invite to this religion will be hanging around your neck, screaming and crying, why did you not invite me to this exalted standard? So, Mason, we stopped at slide 57. I love you all for the sake of Allah. I pray that you will take this in the spirit of hope, in the spirit of love. People are not accustomed to me preaching in this manner, I know that. But these things have got to be said. I cannot watch my community, my family, drown themselves because of something that they could have done and they didn't do, because you didn't put on the life vest. So I want you to hear me loud and clear. This is lip service, but I hope I've shown you by the sacrifice that I've made that I do love you. Not that I'm just saying it, but I love you for the sake of Allah. But I want for you what I want for myself, and I don't want to be a lip service Muslim, and I don't want you to be a lip service Muslim. I want you to be a Muslim that sacrifices and that is intensely involved in making a migration. A migration that will cause you to inherit paradise, eternal bliss. And that will cause you to live well in this life as well, inshallah. So I love you for the sake of Allah. We will, inshallah, next week begin to talk about brotherhood. The bonds of faith are the basis of the links between us. How that love is the foundation of the Medinan society. And inshallah, eventually we'll talk about equality, how the rich and the poor were striving together to establish And rich and poor doesn't only mean materially, it also means in terms of knowledge. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.